While many of you trying to do the Belly of the Beast operation or just preparing for the upcoming update, which is the Jade Shadow's Constellation, I believe many of you already done the Jade Shadow quest and already get yourself at least one of the Jade weapons or just Jade herself. Due to I think many of you already got at least Jade because Warframe, why not? In this video, I will share with you how to build Jade, and to be honest, she is the one that will definitely not disappoint you once you fully completed her. Starting from her passive, she has a very interesting part where, among all the Warframe, she is the first Warframe that has two aura slots. One is the universal polarity, another one is the Veteran polarity. And the great part is that both will increase your maximum mark capacity, which means it will be much easier to complete Jade's build with these two aura slots. That's a good thing. Another thing is that all her abilities have a chance or guarantee to proc a symbol called Judgment, where this will allow enemies to take extra 50% damage for the time being. This is a useful one because this will not only benefit to your weapon but also her ability that might need to use this Judgment. First ability, Light's Judgment. This will allow Jade to throw out one light, not only will create a circle that 1 will heal you up, 2 will also damage the enemy with hit damage, and 3 will also guarantee to proc the Judgment on the enemies. The great thing about this is that it can stack up the damage, but the healing effect will not be stacking together. So if you want to use this for the healing or just marking purpose, it's better to just spread out as much as possible rather than stacking together. But the great thing is that the healing effect will also be applicable to most of your companion, the defense target, your allies, etc. While it also have an apartment called Jade's Judgment, which will work like the Jade Xmas, where when the enemies was affected by the Light's Judgment, they will have a chance to spawn a Jade Light that will damage them. Now based on the wiki, the damage didn't scale with strength whatsoever, and because I didn't do much of the research, I couldn't tell what's the damage it could do. Unfortunately, I can't see that the synergy with many of them, so I can say that it's your choice whether you want to use it or not. As for her second ability, called Symphony of Mercy, this will allow Jade to cycle through 3 different buffs that you can cast for yourself and buff your other allies. The first one is the green color Power of the Seven, which will increase the ability strength of yourself and your allies. Now this ability cannot self-proc to Symphony of Mercy itself, so there's no such way that you can self-stacking the ability strength to make it quite higher. The red color Deathbringer will increase the weapon damage. Not only just your regular weapons, this will also affect the damage of the ability that we'll be talking later on. While the third one is the blue Spirit of Resilience, which will increase your shield effectiveness and recharge delay. Now among all these 3, only the strength and the damage is the one that we'll be using the most. And based on your gameplay, usually it will have a cycle where you will just first cast out your strength first to increase your other ability's strength, then use the damage buff to improve your damage of your abilities so that you can just going through all the way through. As for the third ability, we have Orphaned Eyes. This ability is the subsume ability for all Warframe. But let's talk about how Jade uses it first. Jade will summon the eyes that will not only slow the enemies, dealing hit damage per second, and armor strip the enemies. The armor strip will always guarantee in a percentage per second, so if you're increasing the strength, it not directly just immediately strip out. Instead, it just decreases the time taken for you to fully strip the enemy's armor. There's also an additional benefit where Orphaned Eyes will help Jade to revive your allies, no matter it's your companion or the other allies, from a distance. But this will only be applicable to Jade herself, as the subsume ability will just remove these passive. And finally, her fourth ability, Glory on High. This will let Jade soar into the sky, considered as airborne. At this stage, Jade will only able to use her secondary weapon called Glory. It has a base innate hit damage, and it also have a good amount of save chance crit damage but with low crit chance. What makes it so interesting is that this weapon not just only dealing damage with a slight range of explosion, it also have the alternate fire where it will explode any enemies that has the effect of Judgment, detonating all Judgment and cause them to deal damage. But this will exchange that it will remove the Judgment mark. And this explosion has the synergy with the first ability Web. If they're under the effect of Light's Judgment, it will take increased damage. Now this might sound good. Unfortunately, based on how high energy costs, and it has a hard limit where you must have the enemies affected by judgment, this will make this build will become very energy hungry. So in my gameplay, if let's say you want a much better experience, I will not recommend you to use this alternate fire blade itself. Instead, just use the regular fire mode and it's good to go. And now for Jade's build. Since we know that Jade access to 2 aura slots, you can see that my build using growing power, aerodynamics, Aviatar, and para with adaptation so that we can have good amount of damage reduction. Since when using glory, you will consider at airborne, so it will be better to use the airborne defensive mod to improve your damage reduction. You may notice that in my build here, I didn't use blind range because so far right now, the base maximum energy will only at 200 and with prime flow it did exceed to 500, but no matter what the value is, from what I could tell, this kind of value, if we have high energy cost, then it will be hard to play. So instead of using prime flow, I'll be using high efficiency build, whether with streamline with plating expertise, or in my case here, I'll be using the arcane impetus. And this will also talking about our glory build here, where I'll be using the secondary encumber for my arcane slot. And as for the other, it will be looks like this. Now because of the part where I use secondary encumber and not innovate, that means I have to build my own critical chance. Unfortunately, due to glory only have a base of 50% critical chance, you will need a lot of critical chance to make sure that it can at least bypass the 100% critical chance threshold. And by doing so, you will need Crippling Bullseye, and all 5 Tau Forge Topaz Archon shot. Only with all of this, it can barely pass through 100%. I know this is quite a lot of work, which is why if let's say you didn't like this, you can just switch it to Secondary Innovate, and you can just swap out your Arcane Impedance into other strength mod, maybe like More Augmented. But in exchange that you will need to use both Streamline and Fleeting Expertise. But because I'm using Arcane Impedance that can provide more strength and efficiency, I would say that that's a good trade-off. Especially, we have to consider that when using her 4th ability, you cannot switch to other weapon except using your glories only, which I need a way to prop more elements for her damage, which is why I need to use secondary combo instead of secondary innovate. For the other things here, you can see that it will be the same. Because I'm not using blind rage, I will be using transient fortitude and umbra intensify. But because of her ability, not really necessarily have high duration, so when paired out with Prime Continuity, the duration is sufficient. Even if you're using Fleeting Expertise, the reduced duration will not impact that much. Consider that the second ability will increase your duration by 2 seconds if you kill an enemy under the effect of Judgment, which is not exactly a problem when you're playing in a mission such as Survival that have high density of enemies. As for the other, it will almost be the general things that you want to pick for your Jade. And you may notice that the Arcane slot here, one of them is using the Arcane Velocity. And that is important because Glory usually have low damage, which is why, aside from improving the damage, increasing in fire rate is also beneficial. Which is why, not just only for the Glory that has increased in fire rate, we'll also be using Fuel Racks. Mainly we need to use the Amalgam Mob that can increase the fire rate of the secondary weapon. And also, your companion that using the Reinforced Bond that can also increase the fire rate of your weapon. All these stacking up together will make Glory shoot quite faster than it should be, and this will help in improving the overall damage. And so, there you have it. While waiting for the upcoming Jade Shadow Constellation update, trying to use this Jade, I would say that it will never disappoint you, because from what I have tried for myself, Jade actually can deal a great amount of damage, especially when Glory is considered as a secondary weapon. She has a competition between Dante and Mesa when using a secondary exalted weapon. Also Hildren if you wanted to count her too, but I never used her that much, so sorry for all those Hildren main. Still, if you like it, you can try to use her. Even though already released for quite some time, I still think that she's worth investing into it.
If this is your first time watching, why not leave a like and subscribe to my channel so that you won't miss out any newest contents from me. Why not leave your comments down below if you got any ideas or thoughts you want to share with all of us. And that's it from me, and as always, I will see you all next time. Bye bye!